Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone. This is Valentina Rada, and as we discussed, we are going to talk about applied ethnography. Every week, I will be reading a chapter from Applied Ethnography, Perty Pelto's book. And I will be choosing a couple of concepts, no more than 3 or 4, kind of elaborate, discuss a little bit about them, and then at the end of each presentation, there will be a couple of questions or group discussions you can use to reflect. So for this week, the first chapter is in the introduction in applied ethnography. So the concepts I chose for this week were the definition of ethnography, ethnography's features, and how ethnography will fit between relativism versus realism. So let's talk about ethnography. Ethnography actually focuses on the analysis of culture and social behaviors of social groups or cultures. Okay, Pelto even says that ethnography is a systematic description of human cultures, which it could be society, customs, religions, or even organizational cultures. Ethnography can be engaged with different methods by a researcher to better understand a particular culture phenomenon. But farther than this, just think of the definition of ethnography. Ethno in Greek means people, culture, or number of people accustomed to living together. Graphy means a writing or describing. So just through combining the two Greek concepts, ethnography is describing a culture. Also, keep in mind that ethnography is rooted from anthropology. However, there are slightly differences between the two of them. Anthropology describes human nature. Anthro means describing human nature. Logy means science. So anthropology is the study of the human kind, whereas ethnography is rather describing or writing about a culture. So think about the two different concepts here. Now, let's talk about the fields that touch ethnography. And this is in Pelto's book, talks about education, either understanding educational processes or teacher training or student learning patterns. As you can see, it's related to a cultural group in education, either it's teachers or students. Then it's about health in the health field. It's treatment sources, practitioner qualifications. And Pelto has a really nice story from the researcher James Young on the decision-making treatment in Mexico in the years of 1970s. And read that, that's an interesting story. The other field is marketing research. It's about the perspectives of companies' products in the eyes of the consumer. This field is pretty close to my heart. I worked a couple of good years in market research, and I can see how ethnography fits in as a research method of trying to understand customer behavior. Why do they buy certain product? Why do they want certain product? What in their lifestyle triggers the usage of that product? So just think about it. Next, let's talk about the ethnography features. Again, this comes from the book, but a little bit deeper than that. So ethnography not only focuses on the knowledge and the values and the emotions, goes a little bit deeper on the behaviors, the events, or the actions. So I was saying earlier on the market, in case of the marketing research, you want to understand behaviors, and that's through observation. In ethnography, it's a great feat to understand those behaviors. It's a sociological understanding of human behavior in researching the other. Okay, So from a researcher perspective, we are researching the participants and how they collaborate, integrate with each other, is researching the other. But also keep in mind that it considers personal culture. We all come with an individual mental pattern to the culture. It's our perception to the culture, is how we integrate the culture. Like we said earlier, ethnography can be found in a wide range of disciplines too. Now, let's go farther and talk about ethnography types. Ethnography types, I found three that I thought it were interesting. The first one is performance ethnography. It's understanding cultures through their performance practices. And this goes back again to marketing research or even education. You know, how do we integrate and what are our processes in order to work with each other? Goes back to performance practices too. Then we talk about autoethnography, which is actually the exploration of the self in the context of the culture. As I was saying earlier, we come with our own perception of the culture, and what we can do throughout the autoethnography is to describe how we perceive the culture that we are in. And then the third one that I found really interesting, I didn't know about it, it's called virtual ethnography, and I assume it's pretty recent, but if it's not, it's pretty handy with current status, either it's organizational or even education field. Exploring group interactions or setting in a virtual environment. I can see that happening with the future of ethnography, and rather than being in a culture, in a group setting, going in person, you can observe, the processes virtually. Next, let's talk about realism versus relativism. And don't get intimidated or confused about this chart. It's just to try a little bit high-level picture in where ethnography fits in. So first of all, we talk about ontology as our perception of what is the truth. And there are two main streams here. It's a realism and a relativism. Realists believe that there is only one truth based on observable facts. Okay, there is one truth based on observable facts. Whereas relativists believe that knowledge is determined by contextual circumstances. So it's important to understand this to perception about the truth. The next will come our epistemology, but I'm not going to go that much into it. Our epistemology defines our way of knowing the world. And the epistemology can be empirical, can be introspection, or can be intuition, just to name a couple of them. And based on that, we define our paradigm or philosophical view, which could be positivist, pragmatism, or constructivist. There are some other forms, but these are the main ones. Positivists are going to use quantitative methods. Why? Because remember, they're realists and they believe in one truth. And they are going to use experiments and surveys. On the other side, we have constructivists who are going to use qualitative methods, such as phenomenology, grounded theory, case study, or ethnography. And then somewhere in the middle, we have mixed methods, which are more pragmatic. And mixed methods is a combination of qualitative and quantitative. It depends on the consistency of the method you are going to use. It can be explanatory, exploratory. It can mean also convergent. But the point here that Pauper is trying to make, and I think that's on page 41, is that ethnography could very well pertain to using some of the mixed methods techniques. Why? Because in ethnography, other than interviews and observations, we can use experiments. And experiments is a quantitative instrument. So think about it. I leave it up to you to deep reflect into it, just make your own thoughts here. So, really quick, what did we talk about? We talk about ethnography with a focus on the analysis of cultural and social behaviors. We talk about the ethnography features, which include documentation of knowledge, values, and emotions, but also behaviors. We talked about considering the personal culture and the individual mental patterns related to the culture. But we also talk about the relativism versus a realism and how we can incorporate various research strategies in ethnography. So at the end, I said there will be a couple questions, and here they are. Question number 1 would be, in which other fields can ethnography be applied as a research method? So the book mentions health, education, and marketing research. Think of other fields. What aspects of realism can be found in ethnography as a research method? Then I was kind of trying to mention it earlier, how experiments can be used in ethnography. And the last one is not really a question, but something to make you think about is identify a social phenomenon that can be studied with ethnography. So this is what I could gather from chapter 1, Applied Ethnography. I hope you enjoy the reading of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave any comments either here on the YouTube channel, or you can use the Canvas. But I look forward to next week and sharing with you chapter number 2 from the Applied Ethnography. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.